as promised, I said I would start the Runaway dolls. You need to see the front cover, and look, there's the character we've never seen before. That's not baby Brittany, and it's not baby Betsy. But when I open the whole jacket, you can see the rest of the family there. Now, this is the third and final book in the Doll People saga. And I also need to tell you there's 19 chapters. So if we're going to finish this before the end of the year, Mrs. Wedlick has to read 2 chapters a day. So it's going to be a lot. Now I took the book jacket off, and you can see there's a stamp here that says fragile because on the front it looks like a package, and that's important to our story. And the address says Wilson & Sons, Scala Street, London. And it's addressed to William Sanborn, Esquire, 26 Weatherby Lane. And we know that happens to be the address of the Palmer's house. Reed, Connecticut, in America. It says by Airmail per Avion. So, I wonder why this book looks like a package and what that has to do with the story. Also, I want to show you this end paper. You can see you've seen that in the other 2 books, but right here, this one seems to be highlighted. You can see where baby Betsy is, the large baby. And then you can see this is probably the baby who's supposed to be part of the doll family. And I wonder, how does she end up on that front cover? Because this looks exactly like who Annabelle is holding on the front cover. This story starts with some illustrations. And here we see the doll maker, and he's got a package. And it's addressed just like the front cover of our book. And he takes that package and he's got it wrapped up. And you can see Wilson & Sons. You can see a close-up of the address, just like I showed you on the front cover. And you can see him in the, I'm going to guess, because I can infer, that means I'm looking at clues on this page, and the parts of the words that I can see, I'm guessing this is Wilson Toy Makers. There might be a few more words in there, but this is a toy shop where the doll maker is, and he's taking that package and he's putting it on the stack of packages, and you can see some man outside walking along the sidewalk. He puts it on top, but look at that box. That box is not squarely on top. It looks like it's falling, and it's falling. And it falls all the way to the ground behind something. Okay? You can see a little mouse running across the floor. There's some keys and some dust and some other things. This says 100 years later. You think that box has been there for 100 years? If you look closely, 100 years, there's some cobwebs, there's a few more things, some extra keys, some other things that have fallen behind this cupboard or whatever it is. And somebody is peeking their hand underneath, looking for something, probably most likely looking for the keys. And what do you think they find? They find the package. And that is how our story starts. Chapter 1, The Mysterious Package. Annabelle Doll didn't see the mysterious package when it was delivered. She didn't see it until late that night. In fact, because Annabelle was a doll, and because she belonged to Kate Palmer, a tidy girl who always left the dolls neatly posed in their Victorian house, Annabelle missed out on a lot of important things and had to be content with hearing about them later. Tiffany Funcraft was a doll too. But because she belonged to Kate's younger sister, Nora, who was careless and left things scattered everywhere, Tiffany happened to be wedged between two couch cushions, luckily with her head sticking out into the room, when the package was delivered. So she had a good view of the front door. What was mysterious about the package? Annabelle wanted to know when Tiffany told her about it that evening. It was British, Tiffany replied. Annabelle looked confused. I mean, it came from England. Well, that's not, Annabelle started to say. It came from London, Tiffany rushed on, but Mr. Palmer doesn't know anyone in London. I don't think Mrs. Palmer has seen the package yet, added Tiffany. Oh, said Annabelle. And it doesn't say Palmer on the package. It's addressed to someone else. Well, then the package must not be for the Palmers, said Annabelle sensibly. She and Tiffany were sitting side by side on the floor of Kate Palmer's bedroom. The moon was full and it shone through the window, making a pale square on the rug. You can kind of see that pale square of moonlight on the rug in Kate's room. Annabelle and Tiffany sat in the middle of the square, moonlight reflecting off Tiffany's body. Annabelle sighed with pleasure. If there was anything better than a good mystery to solve, it was the freedom in which to solve it. And that was exactly what Annabelle and Tiffany had. 2 full weeks of freedom. Earlier that day, the Palmers had gone away on summer vacation, so ahead of the dolls and the Funcrafts stretched 14 glorious days without any humans around. Annabelle could scarcely believe her luck. The last time the Palmers had left for 2 weeks was before the Funcrafts had arrived, and before Annabelle had become quite so adventurous. Annabelle looked down at her own body. It was made of china, and her hands and feet glinted in the moonlight. Her face, too, she supposed, although she couldn't see it. But she wasn't nearly as shiny as Tiffany, who was made entirely of plastic, including her snap-on clothing. Annabelle's clothes, over 100 years old, were made of delicate fabric and lace. Annabelle was fragile. She chipped easily, and her clothing was prone to ripping. Tiffany was sturdy and never had to worry about such things, but she was bound by the same rules as Annabelle and any living doll who had taken the oath and chosen to live by the doll code of honor, the ancient principles protecting the secret life of dolls. And this was why these 2 weeks were precious to Annabelle and Tiffany. As long as the Palmers were away, the dolls could roam about the humans' big house without putting any doll kind in danger. They could sing and shout as loudly as they pleased. They could scramble up and down stairs. They could explore and laugh and play games. They could start projects. Annabelle wanted to learn how to knit, and Tiffany had found instructions for making a volcano, and finished them without worrying about what time the humans were due home. Annabelle hoped that her family, who lived in the old wooden dollhouse in Kate's room, and the Funcrafts, who lived in their new plastic house in Nora's room, could spend plenty of time together. She thought that the grown-ups in her family needed other adult doll friends. But the package is for the Palmers, said Tiffany. At least it's for somebody at this address, 26 Weatherby Lane. I heard Mr. Palmer read that out loud. Then he said, "This is our address, all right, but not our name." "That is strange," agreed Annabel. "Mr. Palmer is going to show the package to Grandma Catherine, but he'll have to wait until after they're all back from vacation. Grandma Catherine left yesterday for her trip, you know." "Tell me again where Grandma Catherine went," said Annabel, feeling slightly annoyed that Tiffany knew so much. Then she reminded herself that Tiffany had all this information because Nora was forever tossing her around the house and leaving her in uncomfortable places in which all Tiffany could do was stare vacantly and listen. "Grandma Catherine is spending 2 weeks with her old college friends," said Tiffany, "in Massachusetts or Minnesota. I'm not sure. And the Palmers are going to Monahan Island." Annabel sighed. "The beach. I've never been to the beach." "If somebody would just give Nora the Funcraft Travel Pack number 481, we could have 2 beach chairs, a beach umbrella, a beach ball, a beach blanket, bathing suits, and sun hats," said Tiffany. "That would be nice, but not the same as really going to the beach," said Annabel. Her thoughts turned to the 14 days of freedom and all the things that could be done during that wonderful time. "Tiffany, let's go look at the package," she said. "Maybe we can solve the mystery. Where is the package? Do you know?" "It's on the living room couch. Mr. Palmer put it there so he would remember to show it to Grandma Catherine first thing after vacation. We can climb up the couch without too much trouble." "All right," said Annabel. "Just one thing. Where's the captain?" "Closed into the back of the house, in the kitchen and the laundry room," replied Tiffany. "We don't have to worry about him." "Good," said Annabel, who had had many unfortunate experiences involving the Palmer's cat. "Want to go right now?" asked Tiffany. "Absolutely." Annabel got to her feet. "I have to tell Mama and Papa we're leaving, though. Just a minute." Annabel hurried across the rug to the little stool, 4 steps high, under the doll's house. Kate was 10 now and no longer needed the stool to reach any room in the 3-story house that sat on a shelf several feet above the floor. But she had left the stool where it was, which was a good thing. Without it, the only way Annabel could have gotten into or out of her house was in the hands of a human. Tiffany was lucky. The pink plastic Funcraft Dreamhouse Model 110 sat on the floor of Nora's messy bedroom. Tiffany could always run home in a jiffy. Here's a picture of Annabel, and you can see, we've seen this before, the bottom of that stool that she needs to climb up to get to the ledge where the house sits. Annabel stood at the bottom of the stool and shouted, "Mama! Papa!" When there was no answer, she tried again, more loudly. "Mama! Papa!" "Yelling is fun, isn't it?" said Tiffany. Mama Doll appeared at the front of the house, leaned over the edge, and looked down at Annabel, which reminded Annabel that one of the many small things for which she was grateful was that Kate hadn't closed and locked the front of the dollhouse before she'd left on her vacation. Kate had asked her mother whether she thought it would be a good idea, had even fingered the tiny key in the heart-shaped padlock, but peered into the doll's house in a way that made Annabel wonder just how much Kate knew about their private lives. But in the end, Kate had left the house open, to Annabel's immense relief. "Annabel, what on earth are you shouting about?" called Mama Doll. And in that funny way that thoughts have of jumping into your mind from no place in particular, Annabel was suddenly thrust back in time, more than 100 years, to the day on which the old doll maker had completed Mama Doll and sat her on a wooden shelf in his workshop in London. Later, when the shop was quiet and the doll maker had gone home for the night, Annabel had looked high above her at the doll who was to be her Mama. Sitting in a row next to Mama had been Papa, Uncle Doll, and Nanny, who would become the children's nanny. Baby Betsy was sitting on another shelf since she was part of a different doll set, and Auntie Sarah and Bobby were not finished yet. That night, another doll in the workshop, a living doll, had given Annabelle the oath, and she had dutifully repeated, "I, Annabelle, an avowed member of the race of dolls, do hereby promise to protect our secret life by upholding the doll code of honor in accordance with its everlasting law." The other doll had then explained that if Annabelle made a mistake or did something foolish, something to put the secret life of dolls in danger, she risked becoming an ordinary doll again. Being a living doll, a doll person, wasn't easy. But it wasn't boring, and Annabelle felt certain that being an ordinary lifeless doll must be quite boring indeed. Although, do you remember a time when Annabelle did think that life was kind of boring at the dollhouse? Maybe all of these experiences have changed her mind. Tiffany nudged Annabelle now, just as Mama Doll said again, "Annabelle, did you want something?" "Tiffany and I are going to go downstairs for a while, okay?" For once, Mama Doll didn't reply with a list of warnings. Warnings to be quiet, to be careful, to stay out of sight, and above all, to remember the consequences of foolish behavior. By this, she meant doll state, and worse, permanent doll state. Doll state, which Annabelle had had the misfortune to experience a number of times, rendered one motionless, nearly lifeless, for a period of 24 hours, following an act that put the race of dolls in danger. There had been the night, for instance, long after the humans had gone to bed, when Annabelle, trying to escape from the captain, had darted across a room and run into Mrs. Palmer's slippered foot. Mrs. Palmer had seen her and picked her up, troubled, and Annabelle had immediately found herself in doll state. Remember, that was in the first book. She had been lucky, though. 24 hours after Annabelle had gone into doll state, after a whole day in which she had nothing to do but think about her careless behavior, she had been released and had received only a scolding from Nanny. But there was always the threat of permanent doll state. Annabelle had seen only one doll, a horrifying visiting doll named Mean Mimi, thrust into what she thought was permanent doll state. This was doll state that didn't end. It was 24 hours times eternity. A doll in PDS was thought to have committed an act so dangerous that he or she was a threat to the race of dolls and therefore not to be trusted to continue as a living doll. Mimi fits that description, doesn't she? Annabelle shuddered at the thought how easy it would be to make a mistake that would result in PDS. They bring Mean Mimi back into the story. This is Annabelle thinking about Mimi. This, however, was not the time to worry about such things. Now Annabelle had her 14 days of freedom. So she called thank you to her mother, and she and Tiffany ran from Kate's room and down the second-floor hallway to the top of the staircase. As they scaled the steps, a process that used to take them much longer, Tiffany, puffing with the effort, said, "So, what do you think the boys are going to do while the Palmers are away?" The boys were Annabelle's brother Bobby and Tiffany's brother Bailey. "I don't know," Annabelle replied. Then she added, "I think Bobby's keeping a secret from me." "Me too. I think Bailey's keeping a secret from me," said Tiffany. "What do you suppose they're up to?" "I have no idea. You know what my mother is up to, though, don't you?" "Getting ready for the party?" Annabelle nodded. "You know, she's never given a party like this before. Your family will be her first real guests." I wish our parents would spend more time together, said Tiffany, stopping herself before she added, but your parents are too chicken to leave their house. She tried hard to put herself into the shoes of Mr. and Mrs. Doll, to remind herself that because they were fragile, and also, of course, from another era, they couldn't be as active and adventurous as Mom and Dad Funcraft. Tiffany dropped down the last step, and a moment later Annabelle landed on the floor beside her. They ran to the living room. It's funny not to have to whisper, isn't it? Said Annabelle. Just think, we can be perfectly loud. La 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 la, sang Tiffany. Oh, Captain, where are you? Wouldn't you like a tasty little doll morsel? Well, come on and get us. Oh, that's right, you can't. La 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 la. Okay, I tried to make that a little louder because you can't read it because it's backwards to you, but look at this. Those words were all in capital, which means Tiffany was shouting. Annabelle, laughing, followed Tiffany into the living room, and the dolls climbed up the side of the couch. There it is, said Tiffany, pointing to a small package wrapped in brown paper. The girls bounced their way along the cushions on the couch to the package. The writing on the label was hard to see with only the moon for light, but Annabelle read slowly. William Seaborn. She paused. What's that last word? It looks like Coxesque, said Tiffany. What kind of a name is Coxesque? Annabelle peered at the name for a few more moments. William Seaborn, she murmured. Why does that sound familiar? And then she raised her hand to her cheek. Tiffany, she exclaimed, his name isn't Coxesque. It should say Cox, Esq, for Esquire. William Seaborn Cox, Esquire. Who's William Seaborn Cox? Asked Tiffany. Well, I don't understand it at all, but William Seaborn Cox was the name of Grandma Catherine's grandfather, and he was the one who ordered our family and our house from the doll maker in London way back in 1898. We were to be a gift for his daughter, Grandma Catherine's mother. So the doll maker packaged up Mama and Papa and Uncle Doll and Auntie Sarah and Nanny and Bobby and Baby Betsy and me, along with our house, and sent us across the ocean on a big ship. He sent the wrong baby, though, didn't he? Said Tiffany, who had heard the story before, but liked hearing it again. The wrong baby? No, exclaimed Annabelle, picturing her giant baby sister. He didn't send the wrong baby. He sent a baby from a much bigger doll set. But we love her, and she's the right baby for us. Anyway, she went on, why has a package been sent to William Seaborn Cox now? He died nearly 80 years ago. I don't know, said Tiffany, but your family came from London, and Mr. Palmer said this package came from London. Do you suppose it's from the doll maker? Oh, it couldn't be. He must have died long ago, too. Annabelle squinted at the package. Whoever mailed this has very scrawly handwriting. It's so hard to read cursive. I'm pretty sure it's from London, though. Tiffany suddenly stood very still, her hand at her ear. Did you hear something? She asked. Like what? Shh! There it is again. Listen. Annabelle frowned, concentrating, and after a moment she heard a little voice, not much louder than a bird, chirp. Hello, it said. I did hear that, exclaimed Annabelle. Where did it come from? Inside the box, I think. Tiffany kicked the corner of the package. Then she kicked it again. "Hello? Who's there? Are you dolls?" said the teensy voice. "Can you hear me?" Annabelle shrieked. Here they are looking at the box. So we know it's not very big. And there's a voice coming out of it. Do you remember back when the Funcrafts came to the Palmer's house, and Annabelle and Uncle Doll and Bobby had found the box and heard the Funcrafts talking to them from inside? "Hello, hello," called the voice a bit more loudly. "Tiffany, do you know what this reminds me of?" said Annabelle, awestruck. "No, what?" "It reminds me of when Uncle Doll and Bobby and I found you." Annabelle remembered the night when she and her uncle and brother had been out searching for her lost Auntie Sarah, and instead had come upon the Funcrafts, still boxed up with their dream house, waiting to be presented to Nora for her birthday. Now Annabelle leaned over and examined the package closely. She saw a tiny rip in the paper, and she pressed her mouth to it. "Hello," she called. "We can hear you. Who are you? My name is Annabelle. I'm here with my friend Tiffany." "I'm Matilda May," said the tiny voice. "What are you doing in there?" asked Tiffany. "Don't know." "You don't know why you're in a box?" "No." "Where are you from?" asked Annabelle. After a long pause, Matilda May said, "Don't know." "Don't you know anything?" said Tiffany, exasperated. "Tiffany, be nice," said Annabelle. She leaned toward the package again. "Matilda May, how old are you?" 100, guessed the voice. "Are you a doll?" asked Annabelle. "Yes." "Then someone gave you the oath, is that right?" "Don't know." "Someone must have, since you can talk." "Okay." "How old are you in doll years?" Annabelle asked. 3, I think," said Matilda May. 3, said Tiffany. There was a rustling inside the box, and Annabelle said, "Are you nodding your head?" "Yes." "Matilda May," said Annabelle, "that's quite a long name. Could I call you Tilly May or just Tilly?" "Okay." "All right, Tilly?" "Yes." "Where did you come from?" "From the doll shop." "A doll shop in London?" "Don't know." A pause. "I think so. I've been in this package a long, long time. One day a man picked up the package and said, 'Oh, my heavens! Now how did this get here? Look how old it is.' Then he opened the package, then he sealed it up again, and then he mailed me. I was supposed to get mailed before, to Mr. Cox, but the box fell and no one found me." A funny feeling was coming over Annabelle. She turned to Tiffany. "Do you know what? With no humans in the house," she didn't need to whisper, but she whispered anyway because she was incredulous. "No, what?" said Tiffany. "I think this doll is the one who was supposed to come with our family instead of baby Betsy," replied Annabelle. "I think she's my lost little sister." Chapter 2. Tilly May. "Oh, no," said Tiffany. "She couldn't be your sister." "Why not?" replied Annabelle. "I bet you anything that inside that box is a china baby doll with old-fashioned clothes like mine. The doll maker must have found her after he sent our family off to the United States and realized he had included baby Betsy instead of this doll. So he put Tilly in a box and he meant to mail her to William Cox. Only that never happened. It sounds like the box fell somewhere and no one found it for a long time. Well, said Tiffany slowly, I guess you could be right. I know I'm right. The doll in there is my sister. I can feel it. Tiffany looked at the package. Your parents are going to be awfully surprised. Mama and Papa, exclaimed Annabelle. I have to tell them right away. Just think how happy they'll be. Shouldn't we let Tilly out? Annabelle hesitated. Not without talking to the grown-ups first. Come on, Tiffany. Annabelle ran partway along the couch, then turned and ran back to the package. Tilly, she called. We're going to leave you for a while, but we'll be back as soon as we can, all right? All right. I feel bad leaving her here, Annabelle said to Tiffany as they slid off the couch. Annabelle, if Tilly is who you think she is, she's been in that box for over 100 years. A few more hours won't matter. Nevertheless, Annabelle and Tiffany climbed the stairs to the second floor in record time and ran down the hall to Kate's room. Mama, Papa, called Annabelle. She started up the step stool. Mama, Papa, Auntie Sarah, Uncle Doll, everyone, she cried as loudly as she was able. Uncle Doll appeared at the front of the house. He looked over the edge, wringing his hands. Girls, are you all right? Can you ask everyone to go to the parlor, said Annabelle. The most amazing thing has happened, and I want to tell all of you about it at once. By the time Annabelle and Tiffany had flung themselves up over the top step and into the doll's parlor, Annabelle's entire family had gathered, as well as Tiffany's brother Bailey. What happened? What happened? Said Bobby. Did you find something? Asked Bailey. Annabelle made an effort to calm down. She wanted to tell her story in as organized a fashion as possible. All right, she said. Yes, something happened. And yes, we found something. Tiffany, bouncing up and down on her toes, suddenly crying, We found your long-lost baby! What? Exclaimed Mama and Papa and Auntie Sarah and Nanny and Uncle Doll. Bobby and Bailey looked at each other in disgust and said simultaneously, You found a baby? Annabelle glared fiercely at Tiffany, then started at the beginning and told the others about the package and the address and Tilly May. Oh, but Annabelle, for pity's sake, said Mama, just because the doll is young and she comes from London doesn't mean she's the baby who was supposed to be part of our family. Mama looked protectively at baby Betsy, who was propped up against the piano, her giant head lolling on the keys, occasionally causing one or another of them to plink. But she must be, said Annabelle, and she explained again about the package that was meant to have been mailed to William Seaborn Cox, Esquire, so long ago. Nonsense, said Papa. We have our very own baby right here. But there was a mix-up, said Tiffany. Betsy is from another doll set. No matter, said Mama firmly. She's our baby now. Here's the picture of Tiffany and Annabelle telling the story to the dolls. You can see, again, the size. Baby Betsy's bigger than Bobby. Well, even if you don't believe me, there's still a live baby doll in that package, and I think we should let her out. She's been, Annabelle started to say, but Papa cut her off. You will do no such thing, either of you. I should say not, said Nanny. We can't even let her out, exclaimed Annabelle. Absolutely not. That's just the kind of act that would put kind in jeopardy, said Papa. What would the Palmers think when they came home and saw the box ripped open? Well, they wouldn't know exactly what had happened, said Tiffany, and they'd never think we did something. They wouldn't know a doll had been in the package. I'm not sure anyone except Mr. Palmer saw it. Grandma Catherine might figure it out, said Mama. She might recognize the address of the shop. Annabelle thought for a moment. Then couldn't we just let Tilly out while the Palmers are away? There's a little rip in the paper. If you tore it? Repeated Uncle Doll, horrified. If you tore it, you would do something you couldn't undo. You can't unrip a rip. That would be a serious offense, Annabelle, especially if you did it on purpose. He paused, shaking his head. You are dolls with owners, he went on. That gives you extra responsibility. Dolls with owners have to be especially careful. Owners notice things other people might not. All right. What if we peeled back just enough tape to let Tiffany out? That way, before the Palmers come back, we could return Tilly to the package and tape it up exactly the way it is now. It seems cruel to leave her sealed up when we know she's there, when she knows we're here. Annabelle, said Mama, no, I don't want you fiddling with that box. It's too dangerous, plain and simple. End of discussion. Mama, that's my sister in there. I know it, said Annabelle, and she felt very much as if she might begin to cry. But then, because she was also mad, she added, and your daughter. Annabelle, said Mama. And yours, Papa. Annabelle turned to her aunt and uncle. And your niece. And your sister, she said to Bobby. Annabelle let a small sob escape. Oh dear, said Mama Doll, and she reached for Annabelle to give her a hug. But Annabelle pulled away. Come on, she said to Tiffany, and then remembering something she had heard on the Palmers' television set once, she added, We're not welcome here. Tiffany, bewildered, turned and followed Annabelle down the stool. From behind her, she could hear Auntie Sarah say, Let them go. Annabelle needs a chance to cool off. Annabelle half ran and half stomped all the way back downstairs. This is an outrage, she said. Something else that she had overheard. As she climbed onto the couch again. It's incredible. Why won't Mama believe me? Tiffany paused before answering her friend. Well, you have to admit, she said finally, that it is hard to believe. I didn't believe you at first. I know. Annabelle sat down. She looked at the package, then leaned into the little rip and called, Tilly May? Yes? It's me, Annabelle. I'm back. Hello. Hello. Annabelle sighed. Then she pulled Tiffany away from the package. What do you suppose will happen when the Palmers come home, she whispered. What do you mean? Tiffany whispered back. I mean, if we leave Tilly here and they look at the package and decide it was sent to them by mistake, what will they do? Oh, said Tiffany. And then, uh-oh, they might send it back without opening it. But, she continued slowly, Grandma Catherine will probably know where the box is from, so will Mrs. Palmer. But they might not know, said Annabelle. And if my little sister is in there, I can't let the Palmers send her back to London. No, said Tiffany slowly. I know what Mama and Papa said, but I think we have to see if Tilly May truly is my sister. How will you be able to tell? Partly by her face and by the clothes she's wearing, and partly I'll just know. Tiffany nodded. The doll code of honor forbids us to put doll kind in jeopardy, said Annabelle. But there should be something in the code about protecting your family and your friends, shouldn't there? Like when we had to rescue Papa from the captain. Yes, but there isn't anything like that. Annabelle sighed again. Then she said, Uncle Doll is right. You can't unrip a rip. But if we open the package so that we can seal it back up just as it was before, then we won't have broken the code. Tiffany looked thoughtful. So I think we should at least peek inside. If we peel the tape carefully, the end of the package will open and we can let Tilly out. I hope. All right, said Tiffany. Annabelle bounced back to the box and said to her friend, if you take one end of the tape here on this side, I'll take the other. Peel slowly, very slowly. Don't tear anything. The girls worked hard. It was a painstaking job. Annabelle and Tiffany peeled away for 5 long minutes before they pulled off the entire strip. But when the last bit of tape came away from the paper, the end of the package opened, and Annabelle found herself looking in at the side of the box. Perfect. Tilly May, called Annabelle, and she knocked on the box. If you push right here from the inside and we pull it from the outside, the end of the box will open. And that is exactly what happened. Tilly May pushed, and Annabelle and Tiffany pulled, and the box opened so easily that Annabelle and Tiffany fell backward onto the couch cushion. As they struggled to their feet, they saw a small doll crawl out of the box, like a chick hatching from an egg. She stood unsteadily, peered up at Annabelle, and said, Mama? No, I'm Annabelle. Annabelle doll. I think I'm your big sister. Tilly turned to Tiffany. Mama? Tiffany shook her head. Sorry, I'm Tiffany Funcraft, Annabelle's friend. Is my mama here? Asked Tilly. Annabelle winced. No. Okay, said Tilly, and she sat down on the couch with a little plop. Tiffany grabbed Annabelle's hand. I can't believe it, she exclaimed softly. She does look like you. Tiffany grabbed Annabelle's hand. Oh, I read that again. See, I knew I was right. Annabelle studied Tilly May. Tilly's long white dress was trimmed with pink, and on her head was a white lace-edged bonnet that tied under her chin with a pink bow. Her face was Annabelle's face. Her hands were Annabelle's hands. Her feet were Annabelle's feet. If she had been any taller, she might have been mistaken for Annabelle herself, except for her hair. Tilly's hair was a nice shade of yellow. Annabelle's was green, and had been since Grandma Catherine was 6 years old and had decided to give Annabelle a new hair color. Grandma Catherine's mother, Gertrude, had tried to remove the green, but had only been partially successful. Well, whispered Annabelle, what are we going to do now? With Tilly May? Tiffany whispered back, and Annabelle nodded. You have 2 more weeks. We have 2 more weeks until the Palmers come home. At least she's out of the box. We can hide her downstairs if we have to, but I don't think your parents are going to come down here, so... That's not what I mean, said Annabelle. I mean, now that we know she's my little sister, I can't just put her back in the package when the Palmers come home. What if they decide the box wasn't meant for them and they send it back without opening it? That can't happen, Tiffany. I can't let it. Imagine how horrible it would be for Tilly May. Imagine how scared she'd be. Okay, calm down. We'll think of something. Like what? I don't know. Give me a minute. You have to think too, Annabelle. I can't concentrate. Annabelle looked at Tilly, who was sitting on the couch, gazing around the Palmers' living room. This is a big box, said Tilly. What? Said Annabelle. This is a very big box we're in. This isn't a box, Annabelle told her sister. This is a room. What's a room? Annabelle gulped. Her sister didn't even know what a room was. She'd been trapped in a box for 100 years and knew only darkness, tissue paper, and 6 cardboard walls. Tiffany, this is terrible, said Annabelle. Tilly thinks this room is just another box. That's been her whole world. A box. And Mama and Papa want to leave her in the box and then maybe lose her forever? All right. Let's think this through. Say that when the Palmers come home, they decide to send the package back. Okay. So they take it to the post office and mail it to London. Okay. And it's returned to the person who mailed it in the first place. Okay. What do you think that person would do with the package? I don't know. He could do anything. But whatever he did, Tilly May would be there, not here. And I want my little sister. Annabelle's voice rose to a wail. The thing is, said Tiffany, I'm not sure we have a lot of choices. We can either put Tilly back in the box before the Palmers come home, or we can leave her out and try to hide her forever, which I think is really dangerous. Annabelle was silent. Tiffany was one of the bravest dolls she knew. Annabelle pictured her friend floating in the bathtub with Nora, being tossed through the air, being shoved across the floor in a rickety metal truck and made to ride plastic cows and horses. If Tiffany thought tampering with the box and hiding Tilly was dangerous, well, then... All right, said Annabelle finally, there's only one thing to do. What? Said Tiffany. I'll have to take Tilly and run away. Tiffany sat down with a thump. Annabelle, you can't. Annabelle saw the shock on her friend's face and was stricken, but she couldn't take her words back. I have to, she said again. But what will happen after the Palmers' vacation when Kate looks and looks for you and can't find you? I don't know, said Annabelle. And then the Palmers discover that the package is empty, Tiffany went on, and they know the captain can't be responsible this time. Annabelle, you put your whole family in danger. You put all of us in danger. But you can look out for yourselves, Annabelle replied, and Tilly can't. She's little. Annabelle's eyes wandered to the window. Wow, it's already morning. I'd better get going. Mama and Papa won't be expecting me for a while, since they know I'm so mad. But sooner or later, they'll get worried and come looking for me, and I want to get a head start. She held out her hand. Come on, Tilly. Tilly struggled to her feet and took her sister's hand. Where are we going? She asked. On a big adventure. Annabelle led her sister to the edge of the couch. Tiffany, balancing on a couch cushion, looked at her best friend, poised to disappear over the edge of the sofa. Wait, called Tiffany. Wait, Annabelle. If you're going to run away, I'm coming with you. The next chapter is called The Runaways. Hope you are enjoying The Runaway Doll.